Hey everyone, welcome to another video. In this video I want to show you some of my most special sparkly textured eyeshadows that I have in my collection. I'm just going to show you the eyeshadows that I think are the most special. I'm going to be showing you some swatches. Let's get right into it. So if you haven't been on my channel before, my name is Marley and I love reviewing makeup. I love testing out new makeup, but I also love using my collection and focusing on the things that I already own. I really love makeup. I just get so excited about makeup. So if that sounds like something you'd like, then please subscribe to my channel. I usually upload about 2 to 3 videos a week and I would love to see you here again. So let's get into these eyeshadows. I grabbed out a bunch of palettes and singles. By the way, most of these eyeshadows I acquired in the last year or so. For a long time I didn't really have like special textured, flaky, dimensional eyeshadows and I really went on the hunt for them. I really went and searched for them and I tried out different brands. So this is kind of like the result of that, and I kind of want to help you if you yourself are looking for textured dimensional eyeshadows. I kind of want to tell you like where to start and which ones to go for. So let's start with this Nabla Cutie palette. This is the Wild Berry one, and the shade in here that I think is really special is this one called Alchemy 2.0. It has a really sheer base. It's kind of like nude, almost a bit like berry nude, quite light, and then it has a bunch of light blue shimmer in there. This is such a great shade to top off an eyeshadow look, but it's also really nice for like in the inner corner. It's really sheer, but it just has a bunch of shimmer in there. It's so textured and dimensional. This is just something to spice up a look, to just add something and to make your eye look kind of look wet almost. I think this one is just really pretty. I think it's my favorite eyeshadow in this palette. Then I have the Kaleidos Futurism 7 Sashimi City. This is one of the Kaleidos 6-pan palettes. So let me see how I can show you. So the shade that I actually find the most interesting, the most pretty, the most special in here is this one. I don't know what this one is called because it doesn't have the names, but I will put it on the screen. But this is kind of like a light gold, but it's also a bit yellow. It has some green in it. This is such a nice one to highlight, but it's also a nice one to kind of top off looks. It isn't like totally opaque. It's a little bit on the sheer side, what usually happens with Kaleidos shimmers. I think this is just a pretty addition to the palette, and it's also a shadow that's kind of colorful, but you can easily add it to more neutral looks. That's also why it is in this palette. I think this is just a gorgeous shimmery shade. The other shimmery shade in this palette is also really pretty. It's kind of like a nude to pink to peach, but I personally grabbed for this light gold one a lot more. So that's why I'm telling you this is the one. This is the special shade. Then a palette that of course has to be in this video. There's just no other way. This is just the palette of special shades in my opinion. These shades on the bottom of this eyeshadow palette, by the way, this is the Norn's eyeshadow palette by Odins Eye. I quite recently got this. I already talked about it a bunch, but these bottom shades are just so special, dimensional, so textured. They just look so bright on the eyes because they have different colors, shimmers in there. I just have nothing else in my collection that looks like these. These are a bit more opaque. I wouldn't call these like toppery shades. There are some toppery shades in this collection. This one called Amber Palace and this one called Pink Chameleon. They are a little bit more on the toppery sheer side that you can kind of like add to a look. But these on the bottom, that's what it's all about for me. Those are like the best shimmers ever. I don't know, maybe that's a bit much to say, but they are some of the best shimmers in my collection. I really enjoy those. They just have the right amount of brightness, different colors. The shimmer is just so special. I love these shades. Then let's move on to the Nabla Dreamy 2, the Mystic eyeshadow palette. There are some pretty special shades in here, but the ones that I mainly like in here are this one called Libertine. That one is so textured. It almost looks like a pressed glitter. And this one called Oniric, and this has more like a fine shimmer. It's not as glittery and textured as the other one, but it's a really like beautiful, sophisticated shimmer. It's maybe a bit more on the sheer side compared to that other one, but I think every time I do a look with one of those, it just looks so dimensional and textured. I think those are kind of like my favorite shades in the palette. We also have this one that's kind of like a multi-chrome type shade because it's kind of like nude, berry, green, but it's not a shimmery, so it's not really like what this video is about. But those two shades here, and actually also the shade Mirabilia, that's kind of like, this Mirabilia is kind of like the same texture as the one called Oniric. Those are just really, really beautiful, really pretty. And when I do looks with them, I just think it looks gorgeous. Then kind of like an honorable mention, this eyeshadow palette I haven't fully reviewed yet. I'm still testing it out, but I think this eyeshadow deserves a place in this video. This one looks wet on the lids. It's so textured and shimmery. I didn't really expect to find a shadow like this just in like a random Juvia's Place eyeshadow palette, because they usually have quite a typical shimmer formula, but this one is so beautiful. It makes the whole palette worth it, but I do like this whole palette. But this shade is just a beautiful kind of like pale pink, and the texture is just gorgeous and wet looking and so special. And I already used that one a few times, and I think it's just the most beautiful shimmer that I've tried by Juvia's Place. Then I wanted to mention this shade by Give Me Glow. So this shade is called Gifts Galore, and it's kind of like a brown to a green duochrome. It's not like extremely shimmery, but it's so pigmented and shiny. It's so special on the lids. When you wear this, you're just like, wow. When I applied this for the first time, I was just blown away. It's so special. So I did want to mention it in this video, even though it's not like extremely shimmery. Then I wanted to mention another Nabla eyeshadow, but this one is a single. This one is the shade Water Dream, and this shade kind of has like a see-through nude base and then a lot of champagne shimmer in there. So it's a really beautiful topper. You can just top like neutral looks off with this and make them more dimensional. This is something you really add into other looks to make them more special. And this one also just has this wet look to it. Not all of the shimmery eyeshadows by Nabla have that effect, but this one really does. It does look very wet on the lids, and it just is really, really, really beautiful. Then another Nabla single eyeshadow that I wanted to show you is this one. This one is called, I forgot the name, but I will put all the names on the screen. But this is kind of like a green, like a toned down, cool toned green, almost like a grayish green with a purple shift. And this one is really shimmery as well, a little bit more subtle than the Water Dream one, but this is just a really pretty purpley shade. If you love purples that are a little bit toned down but you still want that dimension, then this is a really good one to go for. I really love wearing this like in the fall and winter when I do more like toned down purple looks. For that this one is really, really pretty. Then a shade that I also really wanted to mention is this one. This one is by Cleonadh. This is one of the glitter multichromes in the shade Glazed, and I have more that I would recommend that I really like, but this one is the most special and the most shimmery, the most bright of the ones that I have. So I just really wanted to mention this one. So this one has kind of like a purpley base, and then it shifts more pink and more gold. It also has a slight green undertone somewhere in there. This is really shifty, really bright, really pretty. I love adding this to looks, like putting a little bit on top to really make the eyeshadow pop. I think this is just a really beautiful shade. This is one of the most special, bright, interesting eyeshadows that I have. Then next up, I quickly wanted to mention the Club Nebula palette by Kaleidos. This is no longer available, but I just wanted to quickly mention it, quickly put it in here, but you can't get it anymore. I'm really sorry about that, but we have some really beautiful special shades in here. I really think this is a beautiful one. This is kind of like a pink to a peach shimmery shade. This is kind of like a toppery kind of eyeshadow. This a blue to green to purple one is also a little bit sheer, but a little bit less of a topper shade. That is just such an interesting color. I think that one looks so good with purples, greens and blues. So there are some really pretty like toppery special shades in this eyeshadow palette. What I just want to say, I guess, with this is keep an eye out on Kaleidos. They are always doing special shimmery shades. If you're interested in that, then this is definitely a brand to keep in the back of your mind. If they are releasing something, probably there are some special shimmers in there. And then the last thing I wanted to mention in this video is the shimmers by Menagerie Cosmetics. Menagerie has kind of like see-through shimmers, but they still have quite a lot of pigment to them. They are not like completely see-through, they are not like toppers, and they just have a lot of texture to them, and a lot of them have some really pretty duochromes, have some pretty different types, different colors, shimmers in there. So the ones that I really like are this one called Wolfling. That's kind of like a warm bronze to a mauve. It has some pink in there. It has some really beautiful shades, and it's really easy to wear with more neutral colors in the crease. And the one that I also really like is this one called Mimic. It kind of has like a grayish nude base, and then it shifts kind of like pinky purple. It's a really pretty shimmery shade, and I think it's such a special kind of shift. This was one that I was looking for quite a long time. That one is just really pretty, but I think all of the shimmers that I've tried from Menagerie are really beautiful. It just depends on the shade that you're looking for, the shade that you want, what you are interested in, but those are just my two favorites for now. So those were a bunch of special sparkly shimmery eyeshadows that I have in my collection. Of course, there are more. I didn't mention all the special shimmers that I have, but these were just the ones that came to mind that I find really special. So let me know in the comments what are your favorite special shimmers and what brands you usually shop from to get some special shimmers. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like this video if you liked it, and don't forget to subscribe, and then I will see you in my next one. Bye bye!